We have a new subscriber and I want to give him a huge shout out. Thank you so much, Mohammed Asim Khan. You sent me a lovely email and it really means a lot to me and Kaylie that you're supporting us. So thank you so much for joining us. Asim messaged us and said that he had solidly binged the podcast on a flight from Turkey. So I'm glad we could accompany you there and hope I didn't give the bad impression of crew being slightly naughty. And we also had a little support from Leo as well. So thanks, Leo. We really appreciate it. Asim joins Kat, Ben, Dan, Stephen, Dina, Chris, Rebecca, Jez, Sally and Shelley as part of our core crew. Thanks for supporting the podcast, guys. We love ya. Well, it's a new year. And you know what that means, right? Absolute regret for the last 3 weeks. I've always hated New Year and I always used to try and fly so that I didn't have to celebrate. In fact, some of my favourite memories of New Year's in aviation is being in the air at midnight and whoever was awake, I'd give them a little glass of champagne, or if everybody was awake, you'd end up doing the conga in the aisles. I've also had a few regrettable nights, for example, in LA, in Long Beach, and thinking it was a good idea to buy a bottle of tequila for the crew, but nobody else drank tequila, so I just did everyone else's shots. Didn't drink for about a month after that. But the best thing about New Year's is looking forward to the year ahead and not having to drink alcohol or eat a cheese board for at least another few months. So for today's episode, we're telling the story of Susan. Susan's one of my favourite characters that I do on some of my comedy reels. Now, Susan is based on, well, me, Kaylie and a few of our friends, to be honest. And she's having a little reflect about what is the toughest time in aviation, which is the festive period. But you know, that's all behind us now. We've made our resolutions and we're going to stick to them for at least another week. And to all you crew out there, thank you for sacrificing your holiday so that everybody else could have theirs. Here's Susan's story.
Doors to armed and cross-check. Come fly the red eye. Whoa. Welcome aboard the Red Eye.
6th of January 2026. Did you have a good Christmas? I truly hope you did. And that you're planning great and glorious things for the year ahead. I had a lovely time myself. Day full of family, food and the usual festive chaos. But I can't help admitting that I'm also a tiny bit relieved it's all over. That I feel the same way around this time, most years in fact, and I've started to wonder whether that feeling has less to do with the day itself and everything to do with the fact that I fly. And the sheer stress that one single roster manages to put on our entire flying family from the moment we submit our December bids. You know, it is, without exaggeration, 2 full months of tension, mince pies and emotional turbulence. By the end of it, I was wrung out like an old dishcloth and hitting the gin on a nightly basis. And not just the gin, oh no. I worked my way through the Baileys, the Disaronno, the Prosecco. Honestly, if it had a cap I could twist off or a cork I could pop, I was drinking it. Anything to dull the edge of the whole damn ordeal. The truth is, I barely remember a life before flying. It's like a blank patch of static between adolescence and joining the airlines. Now, I'm sure those years were enjoyable ones, but seeing as I've been living this bonkers lifestyle for over 20 years now, running endlessly on the aviation hamster wheel and living from roster to roster, I simply can't remember much of it. In this life, I never know what day of the week it is, where my next hot meal will come from, or which country I'll be eating it in. And I must admit, I give little thought to before or indeed after each flight. But one thing I do remember from before is that Christmas, back then, was simply done. No strategy, no negotiations, and no bidding wars. I'd spend the day with my siblings buried in wrapping paper, overindulging on Mum's turkey dinner, Gran always got drunk on the sherry, and Grandad, despite all his grand promises, never made it past the first line of the Queen's speech before falling asleep. Oh, it was magical. It was exactly like the television adverts, and there was never any chance I'd miss it. Until I became crew. And suddenly, nothing was ever guaranteed again. For us, securing Christmas is like entering the Hunger Games wearing festive jumpers. It all begins way back in spring, when we can bid for annual leave. Now, a blessed few get the golden ticket and can leave the game early, but the rest of us, we get random days off in October, or weekdays in November that are about as useful as a chocolate teapot. We sulk, we accept it, and then we tell ourselves the game isn't over. Because it isn't yet. Then, October rolls round. Now, for my airline, that's when it really begins. It's the month Mum and Dad start asking about your Christmas plans. The month that tubs of Quality Street appear in the shops, and the month that the children start vibrating with sugar-fueled excitement. And for us, it's the month we place our December bids. We study the trip list. We interpret company offers like cryptic prophecies, and we scheme. Some of us think, OK, so if I bid for a Delhi on the 22nd, maybe I'll land the 25th and then I'll get the 26th off. But then panic sets in because what if everyone has had exactly the same tactical genius at the same moment and then we all get outbid and end up with standby on Christmas Eve? Some go for the direct approach and simply just ask for the days. Others think, sod it, I don't even like Christmas, and then they shoot their shot for a 3-night Maldives layover with visions of sipping cocktails on the beach wearing an Instagram-bought Santa bikini while everyone else is eating overcooked carrots. Whatever tactic we choose, we hit the submit button, and then we go back to pretending to live our normal lives, saying a silent prayer inside while we wait for the roster gods to say their words in the next few weeks. And there it comes. Roster day. That sacred, dreaded, anxiety-inducing day when December rosters get published. When the scheduling team push the button, usually at 5 p.m, and then run to their bunkers for shelter before the backlash begins, knowing they have ruined whole family plans because they were unable to grant everyone's wishes. It's the day when phones all over the world are refreshed approximately every 3 seconds. When wine is poured in industrial quantities purely as a sedative and social media turns into a panic room. And then it crash lands into your life. Your heart thumps, your hand shakes, you mentally prepare for the best, the worst, and the truly horrifying prospect of standby as you open your line to find that one number that matters. Number 25. And whatever is next to it. Days off. Oh, I got days off. I got days off. I pour myself another glass of wine and I celebrated like I'd just won the lottery. And then, after a short-lived euphoria, I look at the rest of my roster and I stop mid-sip. India. Standby. Nigeria. Oh, where precisely was I meant to do my Christmas shopping? Where was I supposed to buy candles and stocking fillers and raid Bath and Body Works? Oh, God, Bob's Christmas party. I was working that weekend, and every other weekend too. Yes, I had Christmas Day off, but what would be left of my Christmas spirit by then? My poor, spoiled flight attendant soul was crushed, and I joined the hundreds of crew begging for swaps. Visions of the children's faces Christmas morning when they open their stockings to find some masala tea and a tub of jollof rice inside. And so began December. Swapping trips like a Wall Street trader with questionable habits until finally, I built myself an acceptable festive roster. A New York shopping trip. A Caribbean layover for the tan, and I kept the India because I needed a pedicure and a new set of nails. I shopped. I wrapped. I attended the kids' nativities in uniform before dashing up the motorway to make my flight. I even made it to Bob's Christmas party straight from the New York on no sleep and was sozzled on 2 glasses of fizz. I cooked for 8 on Christmas Day and I hosted 15 for Boxing Day leftovers. Well, these days, It's Mum who gets drunk on the sherry and Dad who snores through the King's Speech, but I love that my kids will remember their grandparents in the same way that I remember mine. And I loved that we all got to be together for another year. Word on the crew grapevine was that Christmas flying descended into chaos, that sickness levels were through the roof and everyone on standby was called in. Well, there's no surprises there. We are just numbers, after all, and if you had to choose between showing up for a crew-down flight and an economy turkey dinner and spending the day with your children, well, let's just say I'm grateful I didn't have to make that call this year, and I'll leave it at that. I ended the season with a lovely New Year's trip to Dubai. I took Bob with me as a reward for buying me the diamond earrings I had absolutely not hinted about for the previous 3 months. We toasted the new year in with champagne, and I felt genuinely grateful that while I loved it all, the whole circus was over. And on New Year's Day, as I woke up in Dubai, slightly fragile and unsure what year it was, I realised I didn't actually care what this month's roster held. It didn't matter the way December's did. Not even close. And sometimes I wonder whether life would be calmer if I just joined the 9-to-5 world. If I floated into Christmas like normal people instead of being catapulted into it from 35,000 feet. Maybe it'd be nice. But then again, maybe it'd be boring. So, here is to 2026. To rosters full of beaches, sunsets, half-empty flights, and a miraculous pay rise. Ha! We can dream after all. And here's to May, when I get to do the whole leave-bidding thing again, armed with 1 more year of seniority and false confidence that this might be the year I secure Christmas leave and skip the whole roller coaster entirely. Wherever you are, I hope you found your sparkle and made the most of whatever the roster gods handed you. And I wish for you all a happy and, more importantly, a very healthy 2026. Lots of love, Susan. The Red Eye podcast is written by Kaylie Kay, narrated and produced by me, Ali Murphy. These stories are based on true events, but certain details, characters, and timelines have been altered to protect the innocent. Visit our website, theredeyepod.com, to subscribe to our newsletter and to find out details on how you can contribute your story for us to turn into an episode. If you enjoyed listening to our stories, please like, subscribe, and review. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Red Eye podcast. You guys are why we do this. We love the stories that you have, and we love telling you the stories that people share with us. To help us reach more people and get the podcast really out there, we would really appreciate it if you left a review. It just helps our podcast be a little bit more visible. Thank you.